Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. So in case you don't know me, my name is Paul also, and I am Lucy's uncle, which is how I have the privilege of looking after today. So before we go any further, maybe suggest, let's all wave at the Zoomers. Sorry, I should say that, but those watching on Zoom, let's all wave. Hello, welcome to Lucy and Paul's wedding.
Hi everyone.
There are, of course, some very special people who can't be here, some due to work commitments, some watching on Zoom today. There are also some very incredible people that we wish we had been able to join us today on Paul and Lucy's big day, such as Lucy's Grandpa Sexton, who passed away, went to be with the Lord, we believe, in September of last year, and also Lucy's Grand Prentice, who died just under 3 years ago. Now, even though in Lucy's Grand's final years she'd lost her sight, Lucy is sure that her Grand would have insisted on helping her with her wedding flowers today. That is something that she had a particular gift for. So as this is Paul and Lucy's big day, let's just reflect a little bit about how we got here. Paul and Lucy actually vaguely remember each other from school, but they bumped into each other again at a Christmas Eve event where they exchanged numbers. I actually think perhaps that Lucy might have been a little bit concerned for Paul's welfare because she described him as looking particularly hot. I wasn't supposed to say that, was I? Sorry, that's in a different context. But perhaps Paul was just a little bit initially, a little bit cooler perhaps, on the matter that Lucy had hoped, and it took a little time to catch on. But after a period of about 4 months, they eventually realised that they were in a relationship. Now, they initially realised that they both loved their movies, especially Paul, in Paul's case, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Don't think that's a secret. And they also agreed together that they did not particularly impressed with the Disney Star Wars films. But they then realised that as students they couldn't keep up this lifestyle of perpetual film going, and that they couldn't really afford to continue that any further. What they've done now is bought a house, which they have, which has become an altogether more expensive project. The house they bought last year, which they are now hope to have ready for August. They just haven't said which August. But today, based on my own 20 years experience of marriage, I can say with confidence that today starts a very special new chapter in the lives of these two very special yet different people. 2 weeks ago, Paul celebrated his 30th birthday. But Paul is now about to find out that some of the things that he's been doing all his life, he's been doing wrong. Simple things like the way you fold your towels, where you squeeze the toothpaste tube, how you place the toilet roll, and even how you breathe. You will also find that wherever you are standing, you'll be in the way. Anyway, here are a few other fun thoughts on marriage and relationships. Let's see who else identifies with these thoughts. Is your spouse having a bad day? Well, surprise! Now you are as well. The relationship between husband and wife is largely psychological. One is logical and the other is a psycho. If you have a significant other, I'll leave you to work out which one is which. In marriage, one of you will always be right and the other one will always be the husband. Being married is like having the freedom to do whatever your wife tells you. If at first you don't succeed, why don't you do it exactly like your wife suggested? But that was a bit of fun. But there were some truisms there, a little bit of truth in those elements of those statements. But why are we really here today? Why are Paul and Lucy getting married? Why do people get married, and who thought of the idea anyway? You've probably heard people say, well, I don't need a bit of paper to demonstrate my love for someone. It only complicates things. And that statement assumes that love is just a romantic feeling, and it's correct that that kind of love cannot be enhanced by any piece of paper. Most of the world's understanding of marriage has traditionally come from the Bible, where God makes it clear that his best design is that one man and one woman join together in an exclusivity agreement that says to their friends and families and to the rest of the world that our love for each other has reached the place that we are prepared to close off all of our other options. We now commit to each other physically, emotionally, economically, and legally. And I believe that if someone can predict their own arrest, death, and resurrection accurately, then we should carefully consider the teaching and try to follow that as closely as we can. So from his perspective, as God in a human form, what did Jesus say about marriage? Jesus said, from the beginning, God made male and female. This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. Since they are no longer two but one, let no one split apart what God has joined together. So the phrase united into one actually literally means to be glued together. And this marriage ceremony actually sees the gluing together emotionally and legally of Paul and Lucy in the creation of one new and exclusive and unique relationship. This idea of two becoming one is often why people refer to their spouse, their husband or their wife, as their other half. And personally, I don't like that reference because it suggests that somehow, when we get married, we somehow become less complete. But actually, I think the opposite happens when people get married, because it gives us the opportunity to grow into this partnership of mutual caring, serving, and self-sacrifice as each person in the marriage seeks to put the other first. And marriage, when it works well, is such a wonderful thing. People who are married often enjoy better physical and mental health, greater financial security, and marriage also provides a shock absorber that helps us recover more quickly from life's disappointments. Marriage is unique amongst all other possible human relationships. When we live at home with our parents, there is a certain amount of tolerance from both sides, perhaps knowing or hoping that one day we will move out. In ordinary friendships, somebody taking the time to move out, are they? It wasn't a loaded statement, by the way. It wasn't a loaded statement. In ordinary friendships, if behaviour on either side is felt to have become selfish or irritating, friendships just cool off and can be replaced by newer ones. In marriage, the feedback for selfish behaviour is instantaneous and constant, which is why people blame unhappiness in their marriage on their spouse or the institution of marriage, when the problem is perhaps because of our own human failings. When the Bible speaks about love, it is not talking about something that is measured by how much we want to receive, but by how much we are willing to give of ourselves to someone else. And the vows we take in marriage are not just a declaration of present love, but a mutually binding promise of future love. The illusion of marriage is that if a person can only just find their one true soulmate, then everything that is wrong with them will be sorted. But that builds the other person up to be like God, and no human being can ever live up to that. So it would be my observation that the most successful and fulfilling marriages are the ones that have God at the centre of that relationship. So the prospect of marriage raises the following questions that need to be resolved by both parties. How much of my freedom am I prepared to give up to this person? How much am I willing to lose for the sake of this person? And how much of what I already have am I now prepared to share with this person? And hopefully these are things that you have considered and resolved. Because wouldn't it be hilarious after everyone's gone to this effort and expense, I've just talked you out of getting married over the last 10 minutes. So I hope that you are ready to say yes. So are you ready for this, guys? And I'm talking to Lucy and Paul, who are now not even looking at me. It's like, don't be under pressure. You ready for this? Okay, guys. Would you like to join me? Just in front of me. Now, to keep regulations happy, you need to stand in the middle. You guys are about a metre away from me. So you're taking your seats. Well done. Sorry, Andy, this is the bit of my script where I go, who gives this woman to be married to this man?
I do. Gladly.
You do? Okay, sorry, you do. That's good.
That's
all right. Don't worry. I know it was an emotional bit for you. So there we go. So we now move to the legal part of today's ceremony, where the couple will formalise their relationship as husband and wife through the taking of solemn vows, which they have chosen for themselves. Firstly, some vows that they will make together, and then some that they will make individually for the benefit of the other. So, Paul and Lucy, do you pledge to help each other to develop your hearts and minds, cultivating compassion, generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiasm, concentration, and wisdom as you age, and undergo the various ups and downs of life, and to transform them into the path of love, compassion, joy, and equanimity?
You do.
Do you pledge to preserve and enrich your affection for each other, and to share it with all beings? To take the loving feelings you have for one another and your vision of each other's potential and inner beauty as an example, and rather than spiraling inwards and becoming self-absorbed, to radiate this love outward to all beings?
You do.
Excellent. So, we now come to the vows that you will exchange with each other, and I'll give you each part of your vows as you exchange them. And again, just relax and enjoy, because this is a very, very precious moment. I want you to, when you look back in 23 or 30 years' time, or even longer, just that you'll be able to just drink in this moment and remember it and enjoy it for yourself. It is also a test of your short-term memory, so at the same time, just try and relax and enjoy. So, Paul, you go first. Please repeat after me. I, Paul Alexander Kennedy, take you to be my wife.
I, Paul Alexander Kennedy, take you to be my wife.
And these things I promise you.
And these things I promise you.
I will be faithful to you.
I will be faithful to you.
And honest with you.
And honest with you.
I will respect, trust, help, and care for you.
I will respect, trust, help, and care for you.
I will share my life with you.
I will share my life with you.
I will try to understand you better.
I will try to understand you better.
Through the best and worst of what is to come.
Through the best and worst of what is to come.
And as long as we live.
And as long as we live.
Well done, Paul. Okay, Lucy, these are now your vows for Paul. I, Lucinda Mary Prentice, take you to be my husband.
I, Lucinda Mary Prentice, take you to be my husband.
And these things I promise you.
And these things I promise you.
I will be faithful to you.
I will be faithful to you.
And honest with you.
Honest with you.
I will respect, trust, help, and care for you.
I will respect, trust, help, and care for you.
I will share my life with you.
I will share my life with you.
And I will try to understand you better.
And I will try to understand you better.
Through the best and worst of what is to come.
Through the best and worst that is to come.
Yeah, and as long as we live.
And as long as we live.
Now we come to the exchange of rings as a traditional token of love and commitment within the wedding ceremony. A ring is a perfect circle and is something exchanged at wedding by the bride and groom as a symbol of unending devotion and their agreement to love and cherish one another for the rest of their days. Now, when we were planning today's ceremony, we've discussed this by Zoom, I raised the topic of the rings and suddenly realised that Paul had become somewhat distracted from the conversation. We now know what he was thinking at the time I mentioned the rings. 3 rings from the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for the mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne. In the land of Mordor where the shadows lie, 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. In the land of Mordor where the shadows lie.
I don't think that's appropriate for a wedding.
No, that's something else I decided, but it's in there anyway.
You got it.
But as this is a partnership of equals based on mutual caring and sharing rather than ruling, we agreed that we weren't at all keen. See what I did there? To go down that route. But just to keep Paul happy, why don't you see this as the sequel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy? For you, perhaps an unexpected journey. But there will be no desolation of Smog or anywhere else, and certainly no battles. So why don't we call this the Fellowship of the Two Rings? 1 for Paul and 1 for his precious. So who has the rings? Please give Paul the ring that he will be giving to Lucy. So Lucy, Paul, if you can locate the third finger of Lucy's left hand, if you discount the thumb, left hand, discount the thumb, count 3. Okay, and please repeat after me the vows that you have chosen. I give you this ring as a sign.
I give you this ring as a sign
Of our commitment to each other.
of our commitment to each other.
I promise to support you.
I promise to support you,
Care for you.
care for you,
And stand alongside you for all of our days.
and stand alongside you for all of our days.
Wonderful. Well done.
Yeah,
Okay. Lucy, now it's your turn, so place the Paul's ring on the third finger of his left hand. And these are your vows for Paul. I give you this ring as a sign.
I give you this ring as a sign
Of our commitment to each other.
of our commitment to each other.
I promise to support you.
I promise to support you,
Care for you.
care for you,
And stand alongside you for all of our days.
and stand alongside you for all of our days.
You can get it on, but can you get it? So just hold hands, please. I'm just going to pray a very short blessing over the two of you. Thank you, Father, for just such a wonderful day that two people have decided to get married. It is your pattern, it is your idea. And as we welcome on Lucy's side, Paul into our family, we know that on Paul's side, Lucy is welcomed into his family, as they have already been, Lord. And we just pray a blessing over their lives from this day forward, that their marriage will be a long, happy and fruitful one. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen. So, Paul and Lucy, now that you have given yourselves to each other by solemn vows, with a bit of fun in the middle, with the joining of hands and hearts, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Congratulations, you may now update your Facebook status. And you may kiss each other, we want to do that. Beat me to it.
Lovely.
Okay, you may sit down. And now the mother-in-laws have their say. You did know that part of getting married was that there would be mother-in-laws. So first of all, we're going to welcome Karen, and then Margaret is going to do
It's a close one. Now you will feel no rain, for each of you will be shelter for the other. Now you will feel no cold, for each of you will be warmth to the other. Now there will be no loneliness, for each of you will be companion to the other. Now you are two persons, there is only one life before you. May beauty surround you both in the journey ahead and through all the years. May happiness be your companion and your days together be good along upon the earth. Treat yourselves and each other with respect and remind yourselves often of what brought you together. Give the highest priority to the tenderness, gentleness and kindness that your connection deserves. When frustration, difficulties and fear assail your relationship, as they threaten all relationships at one time or another, Remember to focus on what is right between you, not only the part which seems wrong. In this way, you can ride out the storms when clouds hide the face of the sun in your life. Remembering that even if you lose sight of it for a moment, the sun is still there. And if each of you takes responsibility for the quality of your life together, it will be marked by abundance and delight.
From Captain Corelli's Mandolin by Louis de Bernier. Mrs. Favourite. Love is a temporary madness. It erupts like volcanoes and then subsides. And when it subsides, you have to make a decision. You have to work it out, whether your roots have so entwined together that it is inconceivable that you should ever be apart. Because this is what love is. Love is not breathlessness, it's not excitement, it is not the promulgation of promises of eternal passion. That is just being in love, which any fool can do. Love itself is what is left over when being in love has burned away. And this is both an art and a fortunate accident. Your father and I had it. We had roots that grew towards each other, underground, and when all the pretty blossom had fallen from our branches, we found that we were one tree and not two.
We now proceed to the final legal part of the ceremony, which is the signing of the marriage schedule, which we're going to do just on the table behind us. So the piper is going to play for your enjoyment while the bride, the groom and the two grandmothers, who are both witnesses, are going to sign the marriage schedule. So if you would all like to make your way forward, please. Yes, grandmothers. But it gives me very, very great pleasure, now it's all official, for the very first time to introduce to you Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy.
can I hold it and
Like this?
hold
Can
it
I have a
and-
practice go?
Aye. Yeah, but higher. Like up. As it, just put it full in up to here, and then let it, and then a little flick up.
And then,
That's it. That's it.
right, got
Right.
you.
Go.
No, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. That wasn't it.
I nailed that.
I know. Right,
Go.
no. See, if it isn't, then you're not getting the shot. Sorry. Don't look at it. It's like 3, 2, 1, jump. I don't know best. I am the one. I can do a. That's why I get such awesome pictures.
Right. Hang on now.
Higher.
3, 2, 1, go.
No, she never done it right either.
Welcome to this special, amazing day. We had the privilege to have Lucy on loan. She has been on loan. She was a gift from God, and it was our privilege to enjoy her growing up. To become a beautiful woman. Words don't justify what my eyes see. She's stunning. Really stunning, isn't she? She captured my heart the day she was born, and she gave Margaret and myself a sense of purpose, a responsibility to raise her and protect her, and to love this amazing gift for God. As soon as she was able to crawl, she enjoyed being independent. She would crawl into her bedroom, sit there for hours reading books. And her independence hasn't changed. It's moulded her into the woman she is. So Paul, be warned. As you know, she's got a mind of her own. It's no changed. There's been ups and downs with Lucy when she grew up. Amazing holidays, caravanning, Shell Bay, one of her favourite places where Grandpa and her Gran, every second weekend she'd be up there and over the summer, wandering the beaches, and for ourselves over the summer as well, the cruises and good times. Shell Bay was such a favourite. She was in the travel agent one time, and we had Shell Bay was maybe where we went to when we didn't have a lot of money, and we were thankfully a cheap holiday. And we went to a travel agent, and she's sitting there, and we're looking through the different places to go, and Lucy's only a toe, and she's tugging in her mum's shirt. Mum, did they do Shell Bay in here? So had a special place in her heart, so you'll maybe get cheap holidays, Paul. Don't go dear ones. Stick with the cheap ones now. The dear ones will come. She achieves things that she doesn't really even know she can achieve. And one example of that is we went to Egypt on holiday. Now, in Egypt, there's coral goes for the sea, goes for the beach, right out. You're not allowed in the coral, unknown to us. So we're walking in our bare feet, about 15 minutes across this sharp coral, and Lucy's trailing behind, trying to catch up. My feet's sore, I'm struggling, and can we just go back? But 15 minutes on, she's seen something in the water. Now, Lucy thought it was this big, massive snake. It was, I don't know what it was, but it could have been a wee fish, it could have been anything. But she tore across this coral. It maybe taken her about 15 seconds to get back to the beach, screaming, wailing her hands, causing the lifeguards to blow whistles and everybody else to start shouting at us to get off the coral. So she managed to do something she didn't think she'd manage, but she got there. She's also got she had attachment to possessions. And we were on a touring caravan holiday one time, and she played with a lawnmower that she had for the part of the holiday, but it just never, she played there for hours, and she left it in the caravan step. So Margaret was coming out the caravan and somehow, I don't know how, managed to land on her back in agony. And Lucy was really distressed and started crying and shouting, "You've broke my lawnmower." Nothing to do with her mum. "You've broke my lawnmower." So possessions, it was continual after that. "You've broke my lawnmower." She's got a caring heart and a tender heart, a soft heart. Even when Ryan was born, she came in to see him in the hospital, and she's standing there taking in all the moment, looking at him, and she turns around to her mum and says, "Can I clap him?" We were in the car coming here today, and she turned to me and she said, and I'm repeating your words, "Who would have thought it? I'm getting married, who would have thought it?" And then she went, "You knew and I knew," because she would sit for hours watching our video continually in loop of our wedding, always thinking, one day. So it's always been in her heart, and I'm glad that she's got a good man with her, and that they've chose us. She's very craft orientated, and like I said earlier, her gran would have made the flowers, her gran done so much, different crafts with her, and it was amazing times, quality times, and it's not just about the crafts, it's about the relationship, it's about what's built into your life, and that'll stay with you. Thank you. She can talk for Scotland. She's got a skill in it.
We're not allowed to talk today.
But that's a task for Paul to harness that. You have to participate in a one-to-one conversation. It's not one. It's listening talk. It's listening talk. She was an expensive child. The first child. First granddaughter. Right through her years, teenagers, and then it came adulthood, and then it was left to me. And she started needing a car, or car accidents, or different things need repairs, but now it's Paul's responsibility. He can hold on to the finances. Remember, Paul, we did warn you. We did point out the good and the bad, like any other sale. There's no returns, no refunds, no exchanges. Done deal. It's for keeps, and that's our prayer for the 2 years. That it's a long, healthy, happy marriage. They're together a long, long time. It's good to see them choosing marriage. It's not an out-of-date thing, as some people would say. And it's funny because my dad said that at my wedding. that we chose that, and it wasn't out of date then, and it's not out of date now. Things don't change. And even at the point we were coming in the car, and something else Lucy said, we had good conversations coming up in the car. It's not the wedding day. It's not the wedding day. It's the marriage. And she says, and this is just the first part of it. It's what's ahead, not just today. So they start a new chapter as Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy. Starts off married life, not with any man, but an honest and a hard-working man who's obviously in love with Lucy, just as much as we are with him, that she is with him. See, when you read something, I should have read this before.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark.
I've no doubt about Paul's qualities as a husband. He cares for Lucy, looking out for her allergies and sticking up for her. He loves her very much. And he's brave. He's very brave. He must have been, because he asked me for Lucy's hand in marriage. And as Lucy's so precious to us, we just ask you to take good care of her. They've dealt with so many things over the last year. Starting new jobs, buying a house, all within about a matter of weeks. And as many would say, their house sort of grew arm and legs. It started off maybe a wee paint job, and then it's went to, they took it apart. But it's coming together. They've worked well, they're getting there, and that's the same with marriage. As my wife knows, it's hard. She said to put up with me for a long time. Been married 30 years, and I hope and pray that you both have as happy a marriage as we have. But you need to work at it. You need to admit when you're wrong, be quiet when you're right, and talk and discuss issues. Never let arguments fester, and enjoy each other. Enjoy each other's time, get to know each other. Grandchildren can wait, but not for long. Not for long. We've loved Lucy, and that will never change. Remember, we always love you. You'll always be our little girl, our little Lucy. Lucy Lockett, who can fit in her pocket, as your mum used to say. But you're grown up now. We're here for both of you. There's many people here today, and we thank you for coming. And there's a lot of people that aren't here, unfortunately, due to numbers and restrictions that are currently on us. And some who are in our hearts and have been a big part in Lucy and Paul's life. They've influenced them, encouraged them, motivated and shaped you. Take the good from it. You'll not agree with everything, but take the good from it, and remember, you're both loved and blessed to have so many people behind you to support you in the new chapter of life. Paul, we're very pleased to welcome you into our family and looking forward to enjoying getting to know you more, and we have done over the last few years. We look forward to loving and growing in a new chapter of our new growing family. And as parents, we want the best for you. Over the next few years, we may have our differences, so bear with us. That's all I can ask. And like I said with each other, admit when you're wrong, be quiet when you're right, and we'll try and do the same. Before I take my seat, I've got one last task to perform, and it's a task that's both my honour and privilege. Ladies and gentlemen, please raise your glasses and join me in wishing the newlyweds a long, healthy and very happy future together. Here's to the past for all you've learned, the present for all you are and all you share, and the future for all that you've got to look forward to. Paul and Lucy. Paul and Lucy. Thank you.
On behalf of my wife and I, we would like to thank everyone for coming and sharing on a special day. Thank you all for the wonderful gifts and cards. We are a bit overwhelmed by everything, by your generosity, and we don't actually have anywhere to put it. We don't have a house that's livable. I've never liked speaking in public. I don't like crowds. I hate being the centre of attention, so this is my worst nightmare. I did try to convince my dear wife, Lucy, to speak today. I was told no, which, as far as I'm aware, isn't uncommon in marriage, so we're off to a good start. I will, however, sorry Lucy, take full advantage of being able to speak uninterrupted for what may be the last time in my life. And just quick warning, I'm a bit scatterbrained at times, so I looked up this speech on the internet last night. Just typed in great speeches and I copied and pasted it. So if you notice anything, just ignore it. I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation. No, sorry. I've always wanted to stand up and do that. I would like to thank Andy for his kind words, his blessing, and ultimately his patience for how long it took to get here. Just need to let you know that Lucy's still going to phone you anytime she has a car crash.
Done deal.
I know nothing about cars. And I would like to thank both Andy and Margaret for always making me feel welcome in your home. But I'm fairly sure having both your dogs like me made a massive difference in that. And it's with great sadness that they're not here today. You've both raised a wonderful daughter, and I'm honoured to be able to call her my wife. So if you could all stand. Oh, it feels nice to have this power. Could we all just sit? I would like to propose a toast to my new in-laws, Andy and Margaret. Yep, Lisa. To the bridesmaids, where are you? You have scrubbed up well. Well done. And to mothers, both, lovely hat. You all look amazing today, and thank you very much for being here and making it go as smoothly and getting Lucy here, for one thing. I know that you have been around her a lot and been really supportive, so it means a lot to us. Mm-hmm. Oh, aye, best men. Yeah. Scrubbed up well as well. Makes a difference though. We've known these two for years, so we'll see how much longer we're friends after their speeches. Can't guarantee that it'll be longer than an hour though. Special thanks are needed for my dad and for Andy again. As has already been mentioned, we bought a house in November. Only need a little bit of work done, just a new bathroom and kitchen. So we're now 8 months later. We're almost there, and I can honestly say that without my dad's constant help and Andy helping out, that we wouldn't even be this far. So both my mum and Jim are still patiently waiting for this house to be completed, and we've not been kicked out yet, but now we're married, that might start speeding up. And I'd also like to thank our grannies for making this all legal. Otherwise it's just a nice dinner. It's not been possible to have everyone who live here with us today, some through distance, some who are no longer with us, but we know they're all here with us in spirit. So with them in mind, I won't get you to stand this time. If you could just raise your glasses and toast to absent friends and family. And now to my beautiful, amazing wife, Lucy. You are absolutely stunning today. And I'm very glad that you didn't show up in your purple dress that you've been threatening me with for months now. Lucy is all energy, all caring, all emotion, all crafts, can be a bit impulsive and can struggle to sit still. Can be distracted by shiny things. Essentially, she's the yin to my yang. She loves to try things, also why she's not allowed to scrape the house anymore since the walls fell down. Also very organised, but can be a bit scatterbrained at times. Sometimes she's both at the same time, which is always amazing. Lucy once managed to coordinate between 2 different sets of family, get them over to her flat to empty the garage, and had been nagging me for weeks to make sure we had the garage key. So we got the garage key checked it the night before. Everything was going great. Checked it in the morning as well. And I put it down next to where all my keys go because I've got a key place. So people started showing up, no keys. So we searched everywhere. I searched places that I hadn't looked in for years. No keys, nowhere. Me and Lucy have never had an argument, really, like a full-blown argument, but we were approaching it on that occasion. Lucy even went to Tesco to see if she'd misplaced the garage keys there somehow. Wasn't there either, so we gave up. And later that night, we were both a wee bit grumpy with each other, and Lucy turned round, holding a set of keys. She was a bit sheepish, and the only thing that she said was, "Don't tell your mum where I found them." so I'm not going to. I'll just say that they were next to her heart for the full day. Lucy, you're my favourite, and I love every part of you. I can't say how happy I am I get to spend the rest of my life with you. So let's all toast to my bride, my wife, to Lucy, and to our future together. That's me.
Good afternoon, everybody. For those that don't know me, I'm actually Ben, Paul's best man. First and foremost, again, how stunning is the bride tonight? Thanks you. I'm pretty sure we can all agree that Paul is punching above his weight when it comes to Lucy, you know what I mean? So, I don't know how that one worked out, but okay. Can I get everybody that can stand up standing now, please? Right, so all the men like that, if you don't mind, and all the ladies like this. Right, so just stay there for a wee minute. Don't worry, this isn't going to be a new being framed or anything like that, don't worry. Right, appreciate that. This is just in case my best man speech doesn't go well, and this is a photographic evidence, and I tell everybody, this is the best speech on the planet. Paul and I have known each other since nursery. He's been like a brother to me. We've been through thick and thin together. I rack my brain for the past, for our funny moments and funny stories, embarrassing stories, and anything else we had through to tell you all great times and all the great stories we had. But there's too many just to say in one speech. From what I decided to save, to be honest with you, I wanted to save his dignity. So you all know Paul is a nice, loving person he is. He's a gentleman. They're all epic tales where I come off bad, he comes off the hero, the knight in shining armour, we actually kind of lie. So I'll leave it at that one, to be honest with you. I'll leave it to your imagination. But I've known Paul and Lucy separately, I've known them together, and I hope you all agree that they make two halves a better piece. So I can get Craig to come up and fun. Right, so when preparing for today, I had to consider like how Paul and I had become friends, and you know, I really kind of struggled with that because it just feels like he's always been just such a part in my life. I can't really remember him just not being there. However, one of the earliest recollections that we had was when we were teenagers. We were thinking we were cool, having a few drinks in one of the local parks, and then the next day, like Paul had messaged me, he woke up with no memory and a new short-lived kind of girlfriend, and as you can imagine from there, like our friendship, it just blossomed. Well, It may come as a surprise to some of you, but despite Paul's introverted demeanour, he most definitely has a hidden extroverted side. It just requires a little push, and by push I mean a few shots. But as some of you might know, I work in the social care sector, and this is no small part because of Paul. Like, over the years, my role as Paul's friend has largely centred around looking after him, essentially being his carer on a night out. This is a role I very gladly pass over to you, Lucy, so good luck with that. But when Paul and I used to enjoy a casual night out, as you did when you were younger, he had an uncanny talent for finding trouble. There were so many times where I'd leave him for like just an instant return to find that he'd got himself into questionable situations. And for the sake of Paul's dignity and the grannies, I'll not go into too much detail. However, if anyone's interested, I'll be posted by the bar later, so just willing to share the details there with that. But when I look back at the early years, like, Paul's definitely come a long way, though the rate he's been drinking today, I think he's about to make me eat my words a wee bit here. But yeah, when looking back as well, the time when Paul and Lucy got together, it was a Christmas Eve, and as a wishful tradition, you would descend in the local pub. In typical male fashion, we were late to the party. However, Lucy was there for friends early, and they came to the rescue and gave us somewhere to sit. And from there, we kind of got chatting, and as I say, the rest was history. But the thing that really kind of stood out to me, like towards that whole night, was that I don't actually remember Paul and Lucy really talking much that night at all, to be honest with you. As Lucy started to mention, Lucy's a bit of a chatterbox as well. But shortly after that night, we kind of get the news that Paul and Lucy were seeing each other. And to me, that was just typical Paul. He does most of his best work off screen, you know. But do you know, like, for me, as like Paul's friend, like, the main reason why I knew when Paul and Lucy had got together, this was something different than anything that came before. It came from like our earlier discussions, as Paul and I, when we have a drink, we tend to have some very deep philosophical discussions about life. And Paul had previously expressed like scepticism towards the idea of marriage, but it was obvious now that came from like just having not met the right person. And I've seen so much growth in Paul. Like, and it's clear that Lucy has done nothing but bring out the best in him. And like, as Paul's friends, like, we're grateful to Lucy for that.
Truly.
Absolutely. So the challenges presented to all of us over the past year, it's been devastating to so many in the face of adversity. Paul and Lucy have achieved an amazing thing today. Incredible, resolute determination shown by the couple are testament to our commitment to each other, and if they can apply this to our marriage, then we know that these guys have got what it takes to go all the way, absolutely 100%. So in the difficulties over the past year, what makes today all the more significant, and that Paul and Lucy have fought through so many hurdles to provide a day of hope and happiness, not just for themselves, but for everyone here who's had the privilege to witness and attend such an amazing day. So I'm sure I speak for everyone in the room when we want to thank both Paul and Lucy for their perseverance in providing such an amazing day for everyone. And if you could all please stand.
Rise, please. Those who can rise.
Absolutely. Then I would like you all to raise a glass and wish a lifetime of happiness to a happy couple, Paul and Lucy.
The Kennedys.
Thanks, guys.